Welcome to this video on tracking your and documenting your literature reviews. This is essential, especially if you decide that you want to publish your findings of your literature review. So the best way to do this is by creating a document that is similar to this. So when you're looking at this document, what you can do is up here where it's your PICO question, you'll put your PICO question here or your PCC question. You can use either one. Down below that will be kind of your databases that you're thinking about using, like PubMed, CINAHL, whichever ones. Gray literature as well can be listed here. So on a literature review, you can use your Google Scholar here. So feel free to put Google Scholar here as a database. So this is just kind of basic preliminary gathering of information. Down below this is a concept map. This is kind of helpful for a literature review because even though you're doing some more of the basic type of searching, you still need to have some terms to come up with and keywords to use to do this searching to make sure you're doing that good level of review. So what you can do under concept is that you would actually put your PICO elements here or your PCC elements, and then the box next to it, the key terms box, what you will put here is your synonyms or other terms that mean that concept. And then the other thing you can do if you want to, this is not a requirement when you are doing your literature review, is looking at MeSH terms. Again, MeSH terms, as a reminder, are your medical subject headings, and these are in PubMed. So MeSH comes from PubMed. You can also find medical subject terms in CINAHL using their thesaurus or their gallery of terms that way. The most important part is this database tracking portion. This is a key section here. So what this means, this table is right here where it says database. This is the database that you're searching in. So you'll put, for example, PubMed there. You'll take your search string here and put it there. So like, am I using education and physical therapy? You would put that straight there. You would put the date that you're running the search. So for example, if I was running it today, I would put April 15th, 2025 in my date field. The results number, this is the number of results that came up in this search. So a total number. This is after you put all your limits in. So like your date range limits, any of those type of limiters in, that's the number you're going to choose. So after you get that portion done, this next section is the number of articles you've chosen. So after you have reviewed all of those results, how many articles are you choosing? And that's the number you're going to put here. After you choose those articles, I usually put the citations down below. So that way everything is in one document and I can just keep going forward. So let me show you an example of one that has been completed. So you can see here, I have my PICO elements on the side here. You can see that I decided not to use MeSH for this one, but you can kind of see that here's all of my terms for graduate studies. So these are all of my terms that I'm going to use in my search. Think of this box as a brainstorm to help you when you come up across a block in your head or a writer's block, if you want to think of it that way. Think of it as more of a search block. And you're not sure what terms do I use, what have I not used. You can come back to this concept map and it kind of helps you. So down below, you can see here's all my databases listed. You can see that I have some gray literature in here, clinical trials is in here, Google Scholars in here. And then down below, you can see my tracking. So you can see here's my PubMed database name. Here is what my search is. And you can also see the date range that I used. Next to that, you can see my date. Here's how many articles came up, and here's how many that I have chosen out of that. So something else that you might see on here, on my tracking form here, is this thing called citation chasing. And this is a legitimate thing that you can do. So what this means is that from this article, what I have done is I actually looked at those citations from that article and I clicked on similar articles, and that's why I have the citation chasing. This is a backwards or forwards method to finding additional articles, and you can do that from your articles that you find that are really good, but you're struggling to find other ones. So you can definitely use that. So you can see all of my searches are here. Everything is plugged in. Something else that you can also do as well with the tracking is, for example, like this one came up with 318. Google Scholar as also comes up with tons of articles. So you just want to make a note of how far you went with your review. I only looked at the first 150, or I looked at the first 5 pages. So you want to make sure you document that. So you can see all of my searches here. These are great examples of how to do your tracking. So like clinical trials, you are going to want to put it down where it says condition or disease, because this is how those boxes are laid out. So that way it is reproducible. Or if somebody want to do the same search, they can go back and do so. So you can see for this one, we had 21 results, but none of them actually pertain to what we were looking at. So we chose 0. So you can kind of see all of my tracking here. But if you come down a little bit further, this is where I have all of my articles listed. As you can see, I have all my citations in here and everything. So this is a great way to keep yourself organized. This tracking also helps when you want to get published for your method section. So that is very beneficial to have it if you need it for later on.